New York Times came out with a list, the best books of the 21st century, the Reader's Choice edition. They already made a list, but they knew that there are readers who will want to put in their own entries, who will want some other books to be there on the list, who will have their own opinions, and because it is a bookish world, of course we get to do it, which is why they opened the list to the readers to make their own entries, and hence we got this list. I was obviously ecstatic to see which all books have made it to the list, and I spotted a lot of BookTok popular books, which was a little unexpected for me. However, that posed so many questions in my brain. Are these books on there just because they are popular? Would they be there if BookTok did not exist? Do they even deserve to be on the list? Therefore, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the popular BookTok books that I have read that are there on this list, and we are going to discuss whether they deserve to be there on the list or not, and what are my thoughts and opinions on it. If you stick till the end, I also have some bonus content for you. For now, we just get to have fun with all of the books that I have already read. I'm going to pose a huge disclaimer. All of these thoughts and opinions are purely mine. They are not facts. I am not stating that whatever I say is the only truth of the world. I know everybody has their own opinions, their own thoughts, and I welcome it. Your thoughts on what you think about these books or even other books that you have read that are there on the list. That is the beauty of the bookish world. That is exactly what even led to this list being made, that everybody has their own opinions, and it's always fun to share it with each other, because at the end of the day, it's all just for fun, and I love having fun with you guys. Without any further ado, let's begin the video. Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing very nice. I'm sending a lot of hugs and positivity to all of you. Hi, if you're new, welcome to the channel. I really hope you enjoy the content, and if you do, please do consider subscribing. Your likes and your comments are the only thing that let YouTube know that you enjoyed my video. There are around 15 books on this list, and we are starting with On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, which is the story of a 20-year-old man who has written letters to his mother, who cannot actually read these letters, but as we read these letters, we see explorations of very important topics: the history of Vietnam and the Vietnamese War, its effects, violence. If there's one book that I think should be on the list, I think it is this book. Not only for its beautiful writing style, which by the way, it's insane how the author was able to put such mundane words together and create something this beautiful. Also, that it's not just poetic lyrical writing, it's poetic lyrical writing that is actually representing something really important. It is a voice that needs to be heard. It was haunting and it was beautiful. One of the biggest mistakes of my entire reading journey is binging this book because it is so short, because I thought it's a BookTok book and I did not realize that it will be this impactful. Biggest mistake of my life. It doesn't matter if it's a BookTok book, and I'm actually happy that it's a BookTok book, because then more and more people are gonna read this. Next we have Kafka on the Shore by Murakami. This is the story of a 15-year-old who has run away from his home because of a very dark prophecy made by his father, and all of the things that he is doing is crossing paths with different life situations of another character called Nakata. Weird things start unraveling, fishes start falling from the sky, cats start talking to human beings. Even though I have not read all the books in the world, and I'm pretty sure there are more books like this in the world, in my entire reading journey, I have not come across a book that is this dreamlike, that is this outlandish, that is this magical, and yet the characters made me feel emotions that were real. Whatever the characters were feeling felt realistic, and Murakami was able to piece together these weird jigsaw puzzles that do not fit together completely and create something this beautiful. It would have been so easy to completely dismiss it. It's too outlandish, it's too magical, it's too hard to read, but no, the way it's written, it makes you want to read more, it grips you, and so many people have actually started reading because of this book. I think about fantasy books and what must go into imagining up all of those words, and that I think is one level of imagination, and then I think about this book and I don't know how did Murakami write this book? How did he piece all of this together? All I can imagine is him sitting alone in a room typing away things like this. How did this come up in his brain? Just that how factor makes me want to say yes, this book deserves to be on the reading list. Next up we have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, which is the story of Elizabeth Zott, who was a scientist in the 1960s. We see her life journey and how she starts a cooking show that changes her life and other people's lives. I am in love with this book. I gave this book 5 stars. The storytelling is gripping, the emotions vulnerable, the characters unforgettable. However, when it comes to this list, I don't think that this book should be on there. Mind you, I've given it 5 stars myself and I really love the book. I still don't think that it was unique enough or powerful enough to be on this list. The popularity and the accessibility that it's so easy to read has put it on the list. I would think of it as a beautiful story to remember, but not something that has completely changed me or moved me, or even the writing style is not unique that I have not seen anywhere else. The next book we have is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Two people feel a spark with each other after living together for almost all their lives, but as they take steps towards each other, so many different aspects of society and their life come into play. Despite the miscommunication, I was in love with this book. The quotations are out of the world. The writing is gorgeous, it's decorated and definitely unique. I think you only know just how real the characters are if you are like these characters, or if you know people who are like these characters, because I am telling you, I know from personal experience that these characters are the most real characters I have read about, which is why I think that people that love the book literally are obsessed with this book because of how relatable it gets for people who are like these characters, and people who don't like the book just don't know what they're talking about. If you know, you know. The miscommunication doesn't even feel like miscommunication, because when you know people like this, or if you have any characteristics of the characters within yourself, you know that these characters were trying their best, which is what made me fall in love with the book. However, I don't think that it deserves to be on this list. There are so many changes that I would make to the story, or I would make to the writing style, that would make this book stand out in my mind, that would make this book something that affects everybody. It gets slow, it gets mundane, and it gets really annoying at points. And I know for a fact that if this was not popular, not a lot of people would reach for it or even give it a chance to do its thing, because of how it's written and how slow the pacing gets at points. I know for myself that if I did not know that the book is popular, if I did not know that I'm doing it for a vlog, I would get annoyed in the beginning part somewhere and I would keep the book. It would be so much better if the book was written in a way that made you kept going till the end, not in a way where you find out something, but I have read multiple books that are just characters and still they grip you in a way that you don't want to keep down the book. One of those books is actually there on this list. Next up we have Gone Girl. I don't exactly remember, I keep forgetting, but this book is definitely an easy no. It's an exceptional story, great writing, but once again I think it's here because it's popular. So I think this book is really old, and I have only recently started reading like 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe this book was written in a time where female characters like the main character of this book weren't common. Maybe this book started the writing trend of writing such characters, writing such women, writing such narration, and maybe that is why this book is there on the list. I may be wrong over there and would love to know what your thoughts are. Maybe I don't have enough information about this, but because I am making this video and these are my thoughts and opinions, I don't think that this book was unique at all to be on this list. Next up we have 2 Madeline Miller books. We have Circe and Song of Achilles. I will say Circe definitely deserves to be on this list, and Song of Achilles not so much. The writing is equally beautiful in both the books. It's poetic, it's lyrical, and if you watch my videos, I think I have recommended Song of Achilles way more than Circe, which just goes to show that I love Song of Achilles personally for myself. But when it comes to this list, there are so many things that could be changed in Song of Achilles. There's a little bit of a lull there. The bridge between the first half of the book and the second half of the book is a little some parts of it don't flow properly. It is completely suddenly dependent on the Trojan War in the second part of it, when the first part of it was so heavily influenced by the characters. All of these factors contribute to the fact that it doesn't deserve to be on the list, and I think that if it was not popular, it wouldn't be. Circe, on the other hand, is a powerful story with not one moment of lull in there. It's pure gold through and through. A tone has been set since the first page of the book, and then it is stretched out and maintained throughout till the last page. It's an important story to be told. It hurts me to say that, you know. It actually hurts me to say that, but this is what I think. Next up we have Hunger Games, which I have recently read, and this is one of the easiest yeses to be on this list. It 100% deserves to be on the list. The reflection of capitalism, the grotesque nature of our society, all shown through a young adult dystopian world, and it just hits. I read this book as a 25-year-old, and I know for a fact this book is really old, and even then, even if I have read it right now, it hits and it makes absolute sense with our current society too. That just goes to show that even if it's not been 100 years and it's not a classic yet, it has stood the test of time. It evokes the right emotions, the writing is provocative, it is daring, the characters are phenomenal, and mix all of that with a little bit of a romance. I actually stay away from books like this that revolve around politics in a way, because I think there'll be a lot of info dumping. It'll be all games and technicalities that I couldn't care less about, but this one gripped me emotionally. It is one of the most balanced books ever. It's very important to read and it deserves to be on the list 100%. The lighting may change a little bit because the sun is going down and I just started my ring light. Next up we have Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, which is set in the World War II and is a story of these people narrated by death. As soon as I finished this book, I had a feeling that it's going to be a future classic. I could imagine people reading it 100 years later and still be like, oh, this is what happened. I love books with the backdrop of World War II, and so I've read so many other books, but none have actually translated what the experience must be like or what the impact must be like of that time period on the people living at that time the way this book does. The only book that I can think of that impacted me like this is The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, and you know that that is actually a real story, which is why I definitely think that it deserves to be on the list. Next up we have A Man Called Avi by Frederick Backman. You guys, if I'm being completely honest, which I am going to be completely honest in this video, so I'm going to be okay, Anxious People should have been there on this list instead of this one. For the sake of the list, I think Anxious People is a book that is way more impactful. It weaves together very complex emotions and starkly different characters all together to make an enjoyable read that also talks about things that matter. This one to me feels more like the story of a man and the love of his life and what happens when she's not there in his life anymore. Obviously we have so many other things going on, and again this is one of my most favorite books ever, but for the sake of the list I think it would be better if Anxious People was there on the list. On the other hand, I have read only 2 books by this author, but I know for a fact that I'm just happy that at least one book by Frederick Backman has made it to the list, because if because of this list people pick up this book or any Frederick Backman books, it's enough. Everybody must read one of his books at least once in their life, and so even though I think Anxious People should be on the list, I'm happy that this is there. I'm happy at least one of his books is there, and it's also the 100th book, so I think it's okay. Next up we have A Little Life by Hana Yanagihara. Yes, must be on the list 1,000 times. Yes, that's all I'm gonna say. The next book is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and when I talk about how I have read books that are solely based on the characters but they still gripped me enough to keep reading the book, there was no lull, there was no boredom, I'm talking about this book, because this is literally the story of Sam and Sadie who meet under unfortunate circumstances, and you just see how they go about their life. This is literally just their life story. Even then I would say a weak yes to this for it to be on the list, especially it's number 7. There are literally books on the list already that I think should be in top 10 instead of this book being in there, because it's not that good. I think it's number 7 definitely just because of the popularity. However, it is a weak yes. It should be there on the list, a little lower, but it should be there because the writing style is so unique. Being able to tell the story of only 2 people and nothing else going on, the way that Gabrielle Zevin did, it was beautiful, and the writing is so unique that I don't think even Gabrielle Zevin's another book will be like this book. Next up we have 2 books by Khalid Hosseini. We have The Kite Runner and A Thousand Splendid Suns, and I think yes, definitely yes, these books deserve to be on the list. The story of regret and the story of 2 powerful women, the way it explores human emotions, the setting of the entry of Taliban, everything about these books, the emotions that it provokes, how easy and accessible it is to read. I think even if it was not popular BookTok Books, it would be insanely famous, and honestly I don't think this is a new BookTok book. I think it's an OG BookTok book. I think it was popular way before BookTok already, and when BookTok started, when all of this became popular, these books became popular at the same time. So somewhere in my heart, I don't see them as BookTok books, but they are, and so them being on the list even after that, 100% yes. In the end, we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which is also set in the World War II and is the story of two sisters during that time. I have recently become one of the biggest fans of Kristen Hanna, so yes, I think that at least one of her books should definitely be there on the list. That transitions us into the bonus content of the video. If you have stuck around till here, hi you guys, I am so excited to share my TBR list with you. I thought I'll keep the TBR complete surprise. You will only see it in the vlog when the vlog comes out, but I can't help myself. I cannot wait to share it with you. So here is the TBR, all of the books that are there on the 100 best books of the 21st century list that I want to read, and I am vlogging them, and it's gonna be so much fun. The first book is The Nightingale, which I have already read. Next we have Educated by Tara Westover, which is a memoir. I recently got it. I just wanted an excuse to get it and read it, and this list was the perfect excuse, especially because it is in the top 10 of the 100 books. Next up we have Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. All of these books I have been wanting to read since a long time. So this one also I have been wanting to read since a long time, but I was intimidated by it because it's a sci-fi book. Now this list is going to make me pick it up. Next we have another memoir, which is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. I hope I'm taking the name right. So many of you guys have recommended me this book so many times, and I was just thinking of a way to be able to read this book in a video and capture my reactions to it. Now I got the perfect chance. Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I am intimidated by it because I've read Maggie O'Farrell's memoir and the writing style is very haunting. You really have to be in this space to be able to read that book, but when I got a chance to read it in this video, I picked it up. Next we have Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, which I only picked up because it's in the top 10 of the top 100 list. The thickest book in the pile, we have The Covenant of Water, which it's so thick, and that is one of the reasons why I've been intimidated to pick this book. I also think that the premise of the book made me feel like it's not something that I will be interested in, but I saw a reel that really made me want to read it. Plus I can read it now in this video. This video is really pushing me out of my comfort zone to read books that I have been avoiding, or to read books that I would never imagine myself reading, which is why I chose this one. Another really thick book is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which is on my TBR for 2024. It is number 2 on the list, which is just, no, it's not 2, I think it's number 3 on the list, which is just crazy, and it's just the best excuse to be able to read this book. Another thick book is All the Light We Cannot See, which I think this also can be counted as a BookTok book, but I have not read it. That's why I have not talked about it in this video. I would love to see what it is like because it's so popular, and I think it's set in World War I or World War II. That is always my favorite setting. In the end, we have Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. This one has already won so many prizes, and I started reading it but DNF'd it because I was not in the right space, and because I wanted to vlog it but did not have a video idea for it. Now I get to read it and vlog it, especially because it's number 1. It's number 1 on the list. I'm so excited to see what this one is like. And with that, we come towards the end of the video. I'm sorry that the lighting was fluctuating, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do like, share, subscribe. Tell me what you think about the books. If you have read the books on this list or not, I'll put the link of the list in the description so you can check it out for yourself. Tell me which book you're excited for me to read from my TBR. Wait for that vlog. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.